Greetings my fellow knights and welcome back to Recon by Fire. For today's battle, the World Leaders are playing in the Bezerker Warband detachment that allows them to gain +2 strength and +1 attacks when they charge. They are bringing 2 Forge Fiends, 2 Rhinos, 1 carrying Kharn +10 Bezerkers, and the other carrying a Master of Executions, also leading a 10-man squad of Bezerkers. 1 regular 8-bound squad, 2x3 squads of Exalted 8-bound, 1 Demon Prince with the Helm of Brazen, 2 squads of 2 Chaos Spawn, and a Slaughterbound. Zach is running his freshly painted Imperial Knights army today in the Valor Strike Lance detachment, giving all his ranged weapons assault. He's bringing a Knight Crusader, Canis Rex, a Knight Defender, 2 Helverins, 2 Warglaives, a Callidius Assassin, and a Navigator. We are playing Mission Pack Charlie today. Primary mission is Linchpin, deployment is Tipping Point, and we are playing on terrain layout number 2. For pre-game actions, the Chaos Spawn are going to scout forward towards the natural expansion. Second pair of Chaos Spawn are heading towards the center in case the secondaries call for it. Regular 8-bound are simply going to scout into the building and up against the wall. World Leaders roll their blessings and score lethal hits and sustain hits. Imperial Knights have selected reroll a hit and wound as their quality, and their oath is to take down the Mo. Top of round 1 and the World Leaders are going first. They will draw Established Locus and recover assets as their secondaries for the turn. In the command phase, the Jackals will sticky the home objective. Chaos Spawn are going to slide over onto the objective and out of line of sight. Rhino is going to advance to hide itself in between the 2 terrain features. Chaos Spawn advance 14 inches and have their sights on the Callidius Assassin. Second Rhino will scooch up against the wall to stage for next turn. Jackals will roll a 4 on the advance and chase after the Rhino. The Demon Prince will advance to get near the Jackals and remain out in the open as bait. First Forge Fiend is simply going to scoot towards the edge to stage for next turn. The second Forge Fiend is going to proceed to do the same thing. We go directly into charges, and the Chaos Spawn make the dual charge into the Callidius and the Crusader. The Callidius will fight first, swinging into the spawn, dealing a single wound. The Chaos Spawn will split their attacks, dealing 2 damage to the Crusader and enough to pick up the Callidius Assassin. Imperial Knights will spend a command point on Thunder Stomp, kicking the daylights out of the Chaos Spawn, picking up 1 of them and leaving the second at just a single wound. That is going to end the turn for the World Leaders. They will score 3 points for recover assets and discard Established Locus for a command point. Bottom of round 1 for the Space Wolves, they will draw Established Locus and secure No Man's Land as their secondaries for the turn. Knight Defender will bondsman the nearby Warglaive, and the Crusader will bondsman the nearby Helverin. Start of the movement phase, and the Warglaive will advance 4 inches to make it to the other side of the terrain feature. Second Warglaive will head towards the Chaos Spawn on the objective. Helverin will head towards their natural expansion but not make it on. Second Helverin is going to do the same thing but will make it onto the objective. The Knight Defender will advance 3 inches to plow through the wall and succeed its battle shock test. Start of the shooting phase, and the Warglaive will fire into the exposed Forge Fiend, but it makes both of its invuls. The buffed Helverin will fire into the Chaos Spawn across the way, taking 1 down and wounding a second. Crusader fires into the Chaos Spawn and easily picks it up. It's charge o'clock, and the Warglaive needed a 9 and rolls a 10 into the remaining Chaos Spawn. The Warglaive proceeds to strike into the Chaos Spawn and sends it back into the warp. That will end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will score 5 points for securing No Man's Land and discard Established Locus for a command point. This would be an absolutely phenomenal time for you to take a moment to hit that like button and let us know in the comments down below if you're enjoying more content like this. Top of turn 2 for the World Eaters, they will draw no prisoners and bring it down as their secondaries for the turn. Blessings for the round are sustained hits and lethal hits. They only control their home and will score 3 points on primary. At the start of the movement phase, Kharn and company will disembark the Rhino and move towards the 2 Helverins. Master of Executions and the Bezerkers will disembark from their Rhino, advancing 5 inches towards the Crusader, and the World Eaters will spend a command point to allow them to advance and charge. In a very heads-up play, Zach is going to spend a command point to reactive move the Crusader, towing it onto the nearby terrain feature, giving it better fields of fire next turn. Exalted 8-bound step out of the building and onto the objective towards the Warglaive. Regular 8-bound are going to move in on the Warglaive with -1 damage. Forge Fiend is going to also move on to the objective and have lines of sight into both Warglaives. The Rhino is going to advance to move out and around the building to land on the center objective. Second Forge Fiend will have to move forward to get within 18 inches of the buffed Helverin. Rhino is going to move outside the building and towards the wall of the other to potentially move block either of the big knights. The Jackals are going to advance to make it on the southern objective. Demon Prince is going to follow closely behind but remain outside the building for line of sight. Start of the shooting phase, the Forge Fiend will fire into the Helverin, leaving it at just 5 wounds remaining. The Rhino will fire into it as well, chipping off 2 more wounds. Second Forge Fiend into the buffed Warglaive and it deals 4 damage. Demon Prince into the wounded Helverin, but no joy. It's charge o'clock and we start off with the Mo and company making the dual charge into both the Defender and the Crusader. Exalted 8-bound charge the fresh Warglaive and they're in. Regular 8-bound roll an 8 on their charge and will scoot off the objective to make room for the Forge Fiend. Forge Fiend makes the charge with a 5, World Eaters will spend a command point to tank shock and it scores 5 mortal wounds. Kharn and the Bezerkers also make the dual charge into both Helverins, with the majority of them touching the fresh one. The Rhino will charge the wounded Helverin for the extra movement. Onto the fight phase, and the Exalted 8-bound will swing into the Warglaive. It survives at 5 wounds remaining. Imperial Knights will burn 2 CP to interrupt with the second Warglaive. It will swing into the regular 8-bound, managing to take down one of them. The 2 remaining will crack back, avenging their fallen brethren, and pick up the Warglaive. 1 special weapon and 2 Bezerkers pick up the wounded Helverin, while Kharn and the rest of them make short work of the second one. 1 Bezerker fights into the Defender, another Bezerker doesn't make it into combat, and the rest will swing into the Crusader. Defender will suffer 2 wounds, and the Crusader will survive at just 3 wounds remaining. Crusader will pick up 2 of the Bezerkers on the crackback. Warglaive will swing back into the Exalted 8-bound and picks up 2 of them. That is going to end the turn for the World Eaters. They will score 5 points for no prisoners and 4 points for bring it down. Bottom of round 2 for the Imperial Knights, they will draw Assassination and Overwhelming Force as their secondaries for the turn. They control 1 objective and will score 3 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, Canis is going to go after Kharn, plowing through the building, succeeding his leadership check. At the end of the movement phase, World Eaters will burn a command point to rapid ingress the Slaughterbound and company behind the wall. Start of the shooting phase, and the Warglaives Melta absolutely incinerates the nearby Exalted 8-bound. Knight Defender sends the small arms fire into the nearby Bezerkers, dealing a single wound, but the large weapons into the Forge Fiend, and it barely survives at just 2 wounds remaining. The Knight's Crusader fires the rapid fire battle cannon into the wounded Forge Fiend, easily taking it down, and the remaining weapon systems into the Bezerkers it's in combat with, picking up all of them, leaving just the Mo alive. Canis sends everything into the Demon Prince and it only suffers 4 wounds. Going into charges, the Warglaive charges the Forge Fiend. World Eaters will attempt to fire Overwatch with the Forge Fiend, but no joy. Canis makes the charge into Kharn and company. He will tank shock for free using his ability, scoring at 3 mortal wounds. No longer tied up in combat, the Knight Defender will charge the Mo in hopes of saving the Crusader. Onto the fight phase, Canis will sweep into the Bezerkers, picking up 7 of them. Knights will spend a command point on Thunderstomp as the defender swings into the Mo, and it proves to be enough, taking the character down. This is huge as it will score them their oath, their assassination, and the Crusader will live. The Warglaives swings into the Forge Fiend, chipping away 3 wounds. Forge Fiend will crack back, dealing 2 damage. Kharn and company swing into Canis Rex, but he only suffers 3 wounds. That is going to end a strong turn for the Imperial Knights. They will score 5 points for assassination and 3 points for overwhelming force, as well as generating 2 command points for completing their oath. Top of round 3 for the World Eaters, they will draw Secure No Man's Land and engage on all fronts as their secondaries for the turn. Blessings for the round are Sustain Hits 1 and Lethal Hits. They control 4 objectives and will score 15 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, the regular 8-bound are going to move into the building and onto the nearby objective. The Rhino is going to make its way towards the Knight Defender. Jackals are going to sticky the southern objective and then advance to make their way onto the center objective. The Slaughterbound and company make a beeline towards Canis Rex. The Demon Prince was not a fan of being shot at and will go after the big mech as well. The Demon Prince, the Rhino, and the Forge Fiend all fire into the Crusader, but it survives at a single wound. Onto the charge phase, and the Rhino makes the charge into the Knight Defender. Regular 8-bound charge the wounded Warglaive through the wall. Exalted 8-bound roll an 8 on the charge and make it all the way to the other side of Canis Rex. The Demon Prince is in as well. Just for good measure, the Rhino will charge Canis as well as tank shocking for free thanks to the Demon Prince, but only scores a single wound. World Leaders burn a command point to give the Slaughterbound and Exalted 8-bound plus 1 AP. Slaughterbound will go Super Saiyan and they absolutely shred Canis to bits. The Rhino will pile into Sir Hector, and thanks to lethal and sustained hits, absolutely pops off, picking the hero up. Imperial Knights spend 2 command points to interrupt with the Warglaive. It takes down 1 of the 8-bound, but the lone survivor manages to still take down the wounded Warglaive. The Rhino deals 2 damage to the Defender. Knights spend their final command point to Thunderstomp on the Crackback, and the Rhino will suffer 2 for its troubles. That is going to end the turn for the World Eaters. They will score 5 points for Secure No Man's Land and 2 points for Engage on all fronts. Bottom of round 3 for the Imperial Knights, they will draw a Tempting Target and Engage on all fronts as their secondaries for the turn. They control their home objective and will score 3 points on primary. Going straight into shooting, the Knight Crusader does a ton of split firing with the first volley picking up the 2 remaining Bezerkers. Second volley takes down an Exalted 8-bound and wounds a second. And finally takes down the Demon Prince. The Knight Defender fires into the Slaughterbound, picking up the 2 remaining Exalted and leaves the Slaughterbound at just 2 wounds remaining. Ongoing combat, the Rhino attempts to run over the Defender, dealing no damage. Thunderstomp on the Crackback, and the Rhino barely survives at just 2 wounds remaining. That is going to end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will discard both secondaries for a command point. Top of round 4 for the World Eaters, they will draw Assassination and a Tempting Target as their secondaries for the turn. Blessings for the round are Sustained Hits and Lethal Hits. They control 4 objectives and will score 15 points on primary. Jackals will sticky the center objective. Start of the movement phase, and the Slaughterbound heads for the Knight Defender. Rhino circles around the building towards the Crusader. Kharn will make a beeline towards the Crusader as well. Forge Fiend gets within rapid fire of the Knight Defender. The Jackals are starting to get a little bloodthirsty and also make a move towards the 2 remaining Knights. The Rhinos succeeds its leadership check and falls back onto the home objective. Regular 8-bound will move to the other side of the wall to secure the objective. The Jackals grenade the Defender for 2 damage. The Forge Fiend fires into the Defender for 6 damage. Not wanting to risk the failed charge, Kharn will first charge the Crusader and move as close to the Defender as possible. The Slaughterbound makes his charge into the Defender. The Rhino makes its charge into the Crusader. World Leaders will spend a command point to tank shock and it plinks off the final wound, taking down the Knight. And finally, the Jackals also make it to the party with a 6 on the charge. Onto the fight phase, the Slaughterbound absolutely pops off, going into the Knight Defender, and it scores 12 wounds. Kharn then activates and will pile into the Defender. He does the trick and takes the final Knight off the field. That is going to end the turn for the World Leaders. They will score 5 points for assassination and 5 points for a tempting target. That is going to make the final score 72-29 in favor of the World Leaders. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you've made it this far, take a moment to smash that like button and drop a comment down below on how good Zach's Knights look, because he worked really hard on them. But that will do it for today. So until next time, my friends, happy gaming.